Welcome back, America. This is your Declaration of Independence. This is your Constitution. You know, when the men met at the Second Continental Congress to decide whether to unite against the British Crown, well, they had quite a debate. And they fought a lot, they raised a lot of issues, and then they decided to put their name on that parchment, which was their death sentence. Independence, liberty, representative government, republicanism. They were well aware of the great periods that preceded them. They based their beliefs, as you see in the Constitution of the United States, on Judeo-Christian values, on the Reformation, on Western Enlightenment, natural rights, the strength of the individual. They had contemporaries like Adam Smith and the great Edmund Burke, with whom they were completely familiar and they referenced in their writings. They were committed to creating the greatest nation on the face of the earth and the greatest governing document mankind had ever known, and they succeeded. It's called the Constitution. Your Constitution. What does it do? It creates a beneficent, limited government to protect the individual and the civil society, to nurture liberty, to nurture the family, to nurture religious rights. And they would eventually add a Bill of Rights, an exclamation mark, to protect the individual against the central government. Free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of association, religious liberty, the right for the individual to keep and bear arms, to protect himself against enemies, both individuals and governmental. What else did they do? Due process, warrants based on probable cause, speedy trials, the taking clause to protect your property from the government taking it. All these things that are crucially important for a free and civil society. No document on the face of the earth is like our Constitution, based on our Declaration, your unalienable rights. That's this document. And there's this document. This is a 110-page manifesto. I call it a communist manifesto because it is. It's the Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden document, the unity document. Nowhere in here does it express the principles that are in here. Nowhere in this document do they talk about individual liberty or property rights. Do they talk about faith? Nowhere. This document, this manifesto, is a rejection of the Declaration and the Constitution. It's a rejection of limited government. It's a rejection of the notion of free will and the individual. In other words, it rejects Judeo-Christian principles, Western Enlightenment, the Reformation, and the thinking of the great men who brought us this great society. The same Democrat Party, with the support of the media, want to destroy the Supreme Court. They want to destroy the United States Senate. They want to destroy our voting system under the Electoral College, so only Democrats in urban areas are represented in the federal government. Nobody else. They want to destroy the legislative process. What is it that they're trying to do? They want the Democrat Party to control our Constitution, our government, and the individual. It is the Democrat Party that has become the party of tyranny. It not only rejects these principles, it is seeking to replace itself. Its leaders are seeking to grab power that they do not have the right to seize. It's become, as I said, a tyrannical party that seeks to devour the civil society and our constitutional system. And it's not just those areas of the Constitution that I mentioned earlier. Here I have evidence. There are attacks on the First Amendment. In addition to court packing, they have proposed limiting your right to free speech, particularly in a political campaign. They wanted to end the ability for you to support organizations that run advocacy ads on television and radio and in the newspapers. They wanted to end it because they're so in love with their Democrat Party media. So repealing part of the First Amendment. They had 54 Democrats who voted for that. What else did they want to do? Kamala Harris, who seeks to be Vice President of the United States, potentially President of the United States. What did she say? She wants to use executive orders to eviscerate the Second Amendment, to destroy it. Second Amendment is in the Bill of Rights as much as the First Amendment is. What else is it that they want to do? They have proposed amendments to abolish the electoral college, so only cities and blue states are represented in the federal government, not the people who produce our food, produce our energy, and on and on and on. They will be disenfranchised. And so many other aspects, due process rights. The takings clause. They reject the 10th Amendment and federalism unless, of course, they can use it to their advantage, such as sanctuary cities. The 9th Amendment, which represents basically your individual liberties as stated in the Declaration of Independence, they don't even recognize it. So they have a war on the Bill of Rights, a war on the third branch of government, Article 3, the judiciary. And I want to remind you, they're not only talking about rebalancing the Supreme Court. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has said, we need to rebalance the entire judiciary. War on the judiciary, war on the Bill of Rights, war on the United States Senate by packing it with 4 more Democrats, so the Republicans, for generations to come, can never hold the majority. Ram through their legislation. Doesn't matter if you sue, they'll control the courts. This is tyranny. The Democrat Party wants to control and own Congress, the courts, the voting system, the legislative process. The Democrat Party wants to own all of them. Among other things, that's what this election is about. Do you stand for representative government? Do you stand for the Constitution? Do you stand for our ancestors who fought for these things? Or do you stand for the Democrat Party that seeks to grab as much power as it possibly can? That's on the line in this election. We'll be right back.